What a wonderful morning, and mazel tov again to Nina and to Asher. You're making it very easy for me to ease back in to things from sabbatical. But I want to make sure, for those of you on social media, I want to make sure to let you know that my kids did have a first day of school, even if I didn't post a picture of it. Ben did start class back in Vermont, and the Mayan school doesn't start for a few more weeks. And Shosh started her first year at Whitman as a high schooler, which is like unbelievable to me. So this past week has been filled with first day pictures from kindergarten through graduate school. A popular thing is to have a comparison picture. Right, many of us have seen this, right? First grade and 12th grade pictures, right, put together next to each other. And they are super cute, and they are posted with love and with pride. They get hearts and thumbs up, sort of a virtual kvelling. She too is going to have one of these soon. This is also a special subgroup. There's a special subgroup of these postings, the college drop-off. I have seen Maryland flags hung in residence halls from coast to coast on social media. It's a very distinctive flag if you don't know. And when your kids go off to college, well, it's a big deal. Whether it is taking classes at Montgomery College or moving across the country, parents have lots of emotions at this moment. I was talking with one dad this week who just dropped his last child off at a Midwest school, who told me, quote, "I'm excited for him and he is totally ready, but I'm gonna miss my buddy at home." And this dad, I assure you, is a crier, so I could definitely relate to him. This is representative of so many emotions that parents feel at this moment. Pride and disbelief that it happened so fast, some anxiety, sticker shock for sure, but that's already happened since the first tuition payment generally is due in July or August. So let me give advice. Yes, it is a good idea to start a 529 right after the baby naming. You know, it's funny, I was out greeting new parents in the preschool, and we were talking, and I said, my 3 kids all went through the preschool here. I sounded so old. I was like, 2 are in college and 1's in high school, and it goes so fast. And I heard myself reflecting back how people had told me that, and I'm like, you are old, and I'm never gonna say that. And it came out of my mouth. It does go so fast. And while we idealize how they are off making new friends and reading the literary greats, emboldened by the lessons of Judaism, like in this week's Parsha, justice, justice you shall pursue, and they are off making their own mistakes, we're back in a house that has changed. Whether it's your first kid off to school or your only kid off to school or your last one, the house is quieter. Remember that feeling when your kid went to preschool for 2 hours for the first time and all you wanted to do was just catch your breath for a moment, take a moment on the couch or get a cup of coffee or exercise, even just going grocery shopping? That was a blessing. But fast forward, and it does go fast. Nobody is going into their bedrooms for days or weeks at this point. They're establishing their new room, their new home of sorts, and their Bethesda home is now just their childhood home. A place where they live, but also sort of don't live anymore. A place that is safe and a place where they feel they have moved beyond. Just wait for Thanksgiving break, or the first time that they come home. Get ready for negotiating some adjusted parameters. Life on campus is complicated. Every campus has the blue light security system. And now many have security apps as well for life on campus, but we are aware of bad things happening on campuses. We worry about their safety. We worry about them confronted by anti-Semitism and anti-Israel anger. We worry about their mental health and the new pressures they will face, depression, anxiety, and other issues that are real. And we need to talk about these things for all ages. We worry, and we worry about how much we are worrying. In just a few weeks, on September 21st, Michelle Friedman and Carolyn Berger, co-chairs of the Bethel College Committee, are hosting a backyard social gathering for parents of college kids simply to let us get together to feel connected through this experience. I want to remind you to let us know where your child is at college and their email and snail mail addresses so that Bethel can stay in touch with them through email and video messages, as well as care packages that we send around the holidays. They remain part of the Bethel community even when they were off at school. The clergy continue to want to be available to them even across distances. So put September 21st on your calendar, send Sarah B. in the office your child's school information so we can stay in touch. So what can we do at this moment? It's a sacred moment when we say goodbye to our kids on campus, when we track their activity by the credit cards rather than dinner conversations. I'm not sure if the credit card charges ever stop, actually. But that type of change is supposed to happen. They should have more distance from us, more independence. Remember when we went off to college? Our parents did not have FaceTime or Find My Friends to track us. And we turned out okay. So now is the time for our kids to launch and to boomerang all on their own. Writer Deborah Nussblatt Cohen wrote an article about dropping her son off at college back in 2011. You see, lots of people have done this before us, and they've all survived. So even this may be the first time for you, it's a rite of passage for parents and for the kids. On thinking about how to mark this special moment, Cohen reflects, sure, there's the catch-all Shehechianu, she says, always good, but no matter how heartfelt the recitation, it's a little too all-purpose, she says, for moments that feel as significant and specific as this. Perhaps the Sheptareni blessing, traditionally recited by a father at his son's bar mitzvah to thank God for freeing him of the penalties that devolved to him from his son's sins. Cohen writes, I prefer a more modern iteration recited by both parents to thank God for freeing us of some responsibilities and conferring new ones upon us. She says, I also like one of the blessings suggested in the Rabbinical Assembly's Rabbi's Life Cycle Guide for parents to say at their son's bris, which I've adjusted the language for any gender. It goes like this: help us raise a child, O God, who will be strong enough to know when they are weak, brave enough to face themselves when afraid. Give them the ability to appreciate joy and the strength to weather life's challenges. Teach them compassion for those in need. Grant them the insight to know themselves and the wisdom to know you, God. Help us feel your presence as we begin this new journey through life. That's a nice one. Cohen continues, I especially like this blessing, this next blessing, a new traveler's prayer that was written by Mark Cram. And it goes, for this moment of leaving your child in their dorm for the first time, Holy One of blessing, Master of all things, may this young person enter this new stage of life with blessing, with strength, and with joy, and with a thirst of knowledge, even as we were freed from responsibility for their Jewish life as their B'nai Mitzvah. Today, they more fully take charge. Praised are you, God, master of the universe, who makes the young responsible for their own lives. Actually, Mark Crane wrote a lot more, but my sister keeps telling me, you rabbis have to be shorter, briefer. And so I edited some of it out. But Cohen writes, happily, bringing our children to college doesn't mean the end of parenting. They will be home soon enough, she writes. But there has been a shift. Something in this process is changing for them, and it is changing for their siblings, and is changing for us too. It is filled with excitement and anticipation and a modicum of hesitation. But we knew this day would come. So let's take pride in it, and let's wait to see who they are becoming. Parenting is not a straight line. It is filled with highs, it is filled with lows, and while these next years will have both, let's enjoy the moment of our children or our grandchildren or our siblings or our friends. Again, Holy One of blessing, Master of all things, may this young person enter this new stage of life with blessing and with strength, with joy and with a thirst of knowledge. Amen.
Amen.